Well, my goodness, it's that time of year again already. Time to dish out some awards for the best bikes of 2021. So in this video, I'm going to go through some of the best bikes I have ridden in the road, gravel and mountain bike categories. The video is not in any particular order. I'm not really picking a single best bike, just picking out the bikes that really stood out, that wowed me, impressed me the most. And there's one that really disappointed me at the end of the video. There are links down below if you want to skip ahead as well. So my criteria for the bikes in the video are based on a combination of performance, ride quality, handling, price, value for money, looks, because looks are important, but subjective I know, and how well that bike really met its criteria, its objective, the brief it's designed to. Now, you won't disagree with everything on this list, which is what the comment section down below is for. So do let me know which of the bikes you agree with in this list or which you think I've missed by leaving a comment. Okay, let's dive in. We'll start with the best value awards here, and the best value road bike is easily the Boardman SLR 9.4, which is head and shoulders above all other bikes, even more expensive bikes I reviewed on the channel over the past 12 months. What it offered by using the brand new SRAM Rival ETAP axis, the cheapest wireless electronic group set you can now buy, is a really credible carbon fiber road bike with great performance, reasonably low weight, good handling, a decent set of wheels, okay tyres, a nice contact point, although bar tape was a bit on the skinny side, and a weight that par for the course on a bike of this price with this sort of group set, and all that electronic whiz-bang tech you get from SRAM's cheapest wireless group set, and a really good package. Just a shame they all sold out within 24 hours and supply is now an issue, but it should be available hopefully early in the new year, so definitely time to start saving. But based on the performance the bike offered for the price, hard to beat. Another bike worth a mention in this category was the brand new Honourable Advanced Aluminium Endurance Road Bike I reviewed way back at the beginning of the year. This was a brand new bike, all new aluminium frame, really smart looking frame as well. Clearance of wide tyres, you can fit mud guards, good geometry, it gave nice, stable, relaxed handling, good for a new cyclist, but also good for a more experienced cyclist looking for a long distance cruising bike. But then the real ace up this bike's sleeve was a full internal cable routing on the brand new handlebar and stem. And you don't often get internal cable routing on a bike costing this little money. Normally it's reserved for the top end, real high end flagship bikes. So to see this sort of high end tech on a low price bike was really quite impressive and gives you that modern high end look for a fraction of the price. There were quite a few bikes vying for the best value for money gravel bike in 2021. But in the end, I think the brand new Canyon Grizzle was a worthy receiver of this award. In the carbon fiber version I reviewed earlier this year, it offered fantastic performance, really measured geometry, gave really nice and stable planted handling, got massive wide tyre clearance, loads of mounts of accessories, bottles and cages, so perfect for bike packing adventures, but also great for commuting or just exploring the woodland trails you might live near. It's not as divisive as the Grail with a hover handlebar, using a normal two-piece handlebar and stem. And I think it's a good thing for that. Easy to live with, more normal looks, and just a really nice riding bike that does everything you want and expect of a gravel bike. And there's now an aluminium version, which is even better value for money, and you can even get a version with a brand new RockShot Rudy suspension fork in a package that's a very, very enticing indeed. All the equipment on the bike is also top notch as well. A choice of 1x or 2x, Shimano GRX or SRAM option. Good DT Swiss wheels throughout the range as well. Good Schwalbe tyres, nice handlebar stem, a comfy saddle. And all that means there's nothing you need to change on the bike at all. Just fit your pedals and go and hit the trails straight away. Another bike worthy of a mention in this category was a brand new Giant Revolt Advanced I reviewed earlier this year, link above in case you missed it. Giant Revolt has long been a really popular and really sensible choice in the gravel and adventure bike market. A really versatile bike, ideal for commuting, road riding, as well as gravel exploring and gravel racing. And the new version definitely leans more towards the gravel racing category. So we now have faster, sharper handling. They've really tightened it up so it's much more focused, a race gravel bike if you want that as well. but we have adjustable geometry. So you can adjust the wheelbase, the wide tyres and the slow down the handling as well, giving you almost 2 bikes in one. And it's excellent value for money, as giant bikes normally are. The version I tested with GRX Di2 and carbon fibre wheels cost £5,000, which, yes, a lot of money, but much cheaper than many brands will sell you a similarly equipped bike. But this, remember, is a top end model in this range, and there are more affordable models further down using fundamentally the same frame, but with lower end components that bring the price much lower. In the Money No Object Award, the best road bike has to be the Bianchi Specialissima. It was launched in 2020, I think, but I got to review it in 2021, and it's hands down, hand on heart, one of the finest riding road bikes I've ever ridden. The ride quality was just supreme, just everything you expect from a high-end Italian bike. And although it's not made in Italy anymore, it's still designed in Italy, and still has everything you want from that sort of bike. Just gives you a real emotional connection to a road bike in a way that few road bikes do. And there's something about the countervail technology in the carbon fibre lip that offers such a smooth ride quality, even with skinny road tyres on, a bike that's as smooth as it gets, short of being an endurance, comfort focused bike. So great comfort, great ride quality, lovely geometry, but also sporty and dynamic and evolving when you're feeling a bit frisky and you want to get on and really push on the pace and throw it into some corners. So really an evolving ride. The whole package on the bike just works so well. The price is steep, yes, but it is a lovely looking bike, a lovely riding bike as well. So Money No Object, this was easily the pick of the year. And the Money No Object Gravel Bike Award goes to the brand new Specialized Crux, which technically perhaps isn't a pure gravel bike, it's a cross race bike, but with the changes, the improved tyre clearance, and the more relaxed geometry stretched out and slackened over the previous bike, makes it a more capable gravel bike than ever before. And the old bike was always used by many people as a gravel adventure bike as well as a cross race bike on a Sunday morning. The top end build is well over £10,000, so real super money, super bike territory. But you get a frame that's a claimed 725 grams and results in an SOX build being 7.25 kilograms, which are lighter than many road bikes. Yet you got whopping wide tyres and all that off-road capability. And I've been riding one for the last few weeks. There is a review coming very soon. And the ride quality is absolutely sensational. That low weight and a stiff frame gives you amazing acceleration, an amazing desire to get up and go from corner to corner up to the summit of a climb. It just doesn't hold back and it feels so alive and so energetic and makes you want to race or ride fast wherever you go. On the road, in the woods, on gravel, this bike can really cut it. And now with wide tyre clearance up to a 47, you use it for a pure gravel setup. And could you use it as a road bike? Because in a way, it looks like the Athos on steroids. Well, stay tuned for my review coming in the new year to find out if you can use it as a road bike. On to the best aero / performance road bike award. And for me, it has to be the absolutely sensationally beautiful Avilia Falante SLR. It may not be the outright fastest aero bike in my hands compared to that Orbea Orca Aero or the Trek Madone, but that's without independent wind tunnel verification. It's still a sensationally fast bike and as fast as it is to look at. And to look at, this short of that Bianchi, one of the prettiest bikes launched this year. And the Falante not only has the looks and the speed, but also the supreme handling, really quite impressive handling from the bike, pretty low weight for an aero race bike, and also amazing comfort for an aero bike. Now, aero and comfort aren't usually two words that go in the same sentence, not in a positive way anyway, but this bike definitely bucks the trend and joins a growing number of aero bikes that are impressively smooth on a rough road or a long ride. A worthy mention in the aero performance category has to be the brand new Canyon Aeroad CF SL, and that's the cheaper of the three versions available that I reviewed earlier this year. This one had the regular two-piece handlebar and stem, not the handlebar that snapped by Matteo van der Poel racing in the Belgian Classics earlier in the year. But that aside, the performance of this bike is very impressive. It builds on the foundations of the previous model, so it's not a big step forward, but a few changes, a bit more comfort here and there, the same really sharp handling and the same sense of speed that's really achievable and accessible no matter how fit or capable you are. Also great value for money as well, which is really a Canyon USP, fantastic specification for the money. So all that as a package, the speed, handling, comfort and value for money made it a really impressive package. The only thing that really let down for me is the slightly dull looks, not the most exciting bike, not compared to that Volante SLR. If you enjoy watching this video so far, and I do hope you are, but you haven't yet subscribed, what are you playing at? Hit that subscribe button down below and make sure you don't miss out on any future videos from Just Ride Bikes, and your support means so much to me personally. And now for the best all-season road bike, the road bike that can be used all year round no matter what the weather. It's the brand new Fairlight Cycles Strail version 3. Now I do have a soft spot for Fairlight Cycles because I love their dedication and devotion to steel as a material and really pushing it as far as they can. And the result is not only a beautiful looking frame with beautiful details, but also amazing ride quality. And this new version, largely thanks to brand new squashed and curved flattened chainstays, the like of which I haven't seen on a steel bike before, and something you expect on a carbon bike. It's so smooth and flowy and curvy, gives sensational ride quality. And as a bike, you can imagine yourself riding for 200 kilometers, 400 kilometers, the rest of your life perhaps, is that smooth and that nice. Fits on mud guards, wide tubular tyres, a dynamo light front and rear, which this bike can now take. And what more do you want? All axing, light road bike packing, touring, whatever you want to call it. Club riding, yeah, this bike can do it all. And the other nice detail about Fairlight and this particular model is there are 2 stack options for each frame size, a tall and regular. The sort of customization you don't get from mainstream brands where there's a 54, 56, 58. Here we have a 56T and a 56R. Give you more customization, get the right fit you need, without going to a full bespoke frame builder who will build a frame precisely to your requirements. The Best Bike Innovation Award goes to not really a bike, but a material. The Fast A1 gravel bike made from super magnesium. Now magnesium was used back in the 90s for some bicycles with some success, but also some downsides as well, which I'm sure many of you into cycling for a long time will be familiar with. Not personally, hopefully, but definitely aware of the downsides. What super magnesium aimed to do was deal with those downsides and really put it back on the menu of frame material options as a viable alternative. And those benefits include value for money, much cheaper than carbon fiber. It's lighter than aluminium, steel and carbon fiber, and not much heavier than a good carbon frame. The ride quality is much smoother than aluminium and akin to steel or even titanium in my experience, but not quite smooth as the best carbon frames, but definitely has more of an involving ride quality than some carbon frames that can feel fairly lifeless or dull. You can also recycle it more easily than other frame materials, and there's less environmental damage to the planet extracting it from the earth compared to carbon and aluminium. So big environmental benefits of this material over all other frame materials. And all these benefits are plain to see and feel from riding the Fast A1 gravel all-road bike. And while this bike really isn't the best demonstration of material, the geometry isn't where it should be for a modern gravel bike in my opinion. It does showcase how the material feels on the trail and the road, kind of really springy, peppy ride quality and smoother than aluminium. And hopefully in the future, other bike brands and other bike companies will experiment and embrace this material and see what it can really be capable of and give us a really credible alternative to other materials available out there, especially as there's a growing movement towards reducing our environmental impact on the planet. And because cycling's environmental carbon footprint isn't something that has been talked about much, but it definitely needs to be on the agenda more going forward to try and reduce carbon footprints generally. So this material does offer those sort of benefits. So hopefully this material won't be a blip, won't be a one-off, it will become a more mainstream option going forward. I know lots of you on the channel aren't really into mountain biking, but I do love mountain biking. So of the mountain bikes I reviewed this year, the one that stands out head and shoulders above all others, and that is a brand new Scott Spark RC. It's a bike that looks amazing, Visually, I love the way they're hidden the rear shock inside a frame. I think it makes a suspension bike look better than any other full suspension bike. Really clean, smooth lines. And then there's the way the bike rides. We've got more travel than the old bike. We've got more progressive geometry, so it's longer and slacker than the old bike. And it's a bike that gives not only phenomenal climbing and sprinting ability like the old bike, but also much better descending capabilities than ever before. It's almost a mini trail bike, almost a down country bike, and it's so fast and it's so exhilarating. It's so much fun riding downhill, the sort of trails that for me personally, in the past, on a traditional geometry cross-country bike would be scary and very hairy. This bike is anything but. Yes, there's a limit to it. It's still 120mm travel, but you can push it much further than before. So for me, what I love about this bike, it gives out speed and lightweight and efficiency from a race bike, but with the geometry and extra travel, that makes it a more usable trail bike for those of us who like everything from a race bike, but don't really race, but want the speed and the handling of that sort of bike. So for me, it's a much broader appealing bike than ever before. And it looks amazing. Well, I think it looks fantastic, and all bikes should look as clean as this one does. The other bike that impressed me this year, even though it wasn't launched this year, was a Transition Spur, which has similar travel and geometry to Scott Spark, but it's less a cross-country race-focused bike in its DNA and its inception, and more of a down-country bike, as some people might say, or a lightweight, short-travel trail bike. So less focus on the climbing ability, although it climbs very well, but more on its descending, jumping, just having fun on the fun trails aspect of riding a bike. And for me, the Spur really pushed the Spark hard in terms of my award to one of these, and they're both very good. I think the Spark is a little bit faster all round. The Spur probably a bit more fun on the way down, but very, very close. I like the suspension of the Spur, the simplicity, no twin lock. I like the looks of the Spur, but I also like the looks of the Spark. But for me, the Spark just pips it. And what really clinched it for me is that the Spark is better value for money. That Spur is quite an expensive bike, while the Scott is offering a wide range of models with carbon and aluminium options, so more choices for more people. These days, luckily, there aren't many bad bikes available, and that might sound like a cop-out, but it's not. When I started reviewing bikes for a living many, many years ago, there were quite a few bad bikes, and you test bad bikes on a regular basis. And testing bad bikes is good, because you usually have more to talk about than a good bike. But these days, the standard of bikes is so high, which is a good thing, and means buying a dud is much harder than ever before, but makes reviewing bikes harder because you all think we're just paid to say really nice things about your bikes. We're not. We try and find the bad things in your bikes, but often there aren't many bad things, and usually it comes down to pricing or specification choices rather than the actual frame design itself. But there was one bike that really disappointed me in 2021, and that is the 3T Explorer Race Max, which is a bike I got so excited when it launched because I really like the old version and I really want to like the new one, but sadly I couldn't. Firstly, it's a fantastically fast bike, an aero bike that does deliver speed on the road with slick tyres or off-road with fat, smooth gravel tyres. But for me, the geometry is too race focused and the comfort was lacking. It's a very stiff, very hard riding bike, which is anything but nicely maintained, groomed gravel. It's a hard, tough ride to live with on a long distance ride. And the other big downside for me was the tyre clearance on a 700cc wheel. Now the advertised tyre clearance is on paper fairly generous, it has to be said, but so much depends on the actual combination of tyre and rim. And when I tried a 40 and a 42mm wide tyre, there's very little clearance at the rear end of the frame. That seat tube ran very close to the rear tyre, with almost no space for mud to flow between. And talking of mud, that massive aero flat shaped down tube was a real collection point for mud. And at the end of some rides, there'd be a whole bunch of mud sitting on that aero frame. So really it's a bike, in my view, designed for racing, high speed, well-maintained gravel, like the Unbound. Not so much for exploring woodland trails and dealing with roots and rocks where it's rough and comfort is a factor and you want a fatter tyre to smooth the ride. So that for me was my biggest disappointment. And it's a bike I got so excited about when it was launched and when it first arrived, and I wanted to love it because I did love the previous version, but it really didn't live up to my expectations for it. So that's a bike that, for me, was a bigger disappointment. So some interesting bikes so far: road, gravel, mountain, and my biggest disappointment of the year. I'm gonna end this video on a high with perhaps my bike of the year, and that has to be, once again, the Giant Teaser Advanced. You might remember it won my bike award video in 2020, definitely a standout bike in that year. And once again, it's still, in my mind, the best bike currently available. You want a road race bike that's reasonably lightweight, good value for money, and offers excellent performance and handling. So I built up a custom Giant Teaser Advanced from a frame set back in the summer using a SRAM Rival group set and MV45 wheels, and that's been my daily driver, my daily ride ever since. And it's a bike that I love riding. It's nice having a bike set up just how you want it. You get on it and they feel like a well-worn pair of slippers or a nice jacket that you're really used to wearing. Get on it and ride it, and it just works and delivers me many happy miles. And it's a bike that has to be the bike of the year, really. So wow, the Giant Teaser Advanced Pro wins a second year in a row. Did not see that coming. I thought it might be something else, but there we go. Should caveat this whole video by saying there are, of course, bikes I have not reviewed due to supply issues or bike brands just not willing to send me a bike because my channel is too small. And that's where your support means a lot to me by hitting that subscribe button. The bigger the channel gets, the more chance of me getting bikes to review and make this an even more in-depth and thorough bike reviews video. But I have tested quite a few, and definitely enough to give out awards for different categories. Now I'm sure some of you will agree or disagree, and that's what the comment section down below is for. So let me know which bikes you would crown the winner, and which bikes you think I really missed out, and which bikes you might have bought in the past year, and what bikes you might buy in 2022. What will next year bring? Well, I have no idea. I will do a video on my predictions for next year coming up very soon. Stay tuned for that one. Hopefully an end to this blasted pandemic, because it's getting a bit boring now, really, isn't it? And hopefully supply issues will start to ease a bit and bikes will become available so you and I can test and ride and buy them a bit more readily than we can right now. But those are my awards for the past year. It's been a fun year of testing bikes. Been challenging, really challenging for sure. But yeah, it's been a good year. A nice variety of bikes, I think the video shows: road, gravel and mountain bike. And I think it shows, leaving all the supply issues to one side, that the bike industry is in a good place, doing some interesting stuff, some good innovation, definitely room for improvement in several areas. But I think generally, yeah, it's looking good, it's looking bright. So here's to 2022 being an even better year than we've had already. Anyway, that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all again very soon.